Presentation. We did the one showing the young adult camp that we did while we were in Kenya, and so the other half of the people who were there did the dental camp. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. I did, while we were thinking about when we were doing the chanting, I thought how appropriate, because it is because of your offerings that, you know, we were able to go and we were able to bless the Lord. So that was your teruma. So I really want to praise the Lord for each and every one of you who gave. We're going to go ahead and kick it off with Katrina.
All right. So for those of you guys who don't know, my name's Katrina. I dance on the Aerial Yehuda team. And so I kind of want to start off first. What Deborah had us do at the very beginning, a few months before we actually even went, was she had us to be in a group message where the 12 of us were able to text message each other, and each day we had a moment where we would take that day and kind of just give encouragement to the team, have verses that maybe God was speaking through us and to encourage the team. And so I had the very first one, so she told us about it, and then the next day we had to do it, and I was like, oh, Lord, I don't even know where to even begin to even tell them what you want me to say. So I was like, God, you're just going to have to say it, because I don't know what's going on. So he said, I don't know. I opened my app this morning, and Matthew 10:16 popped up, and I decided to open up the whole chapter. And what do you know? The possible sending out of the 12 was what was the title of it. I was like, oh my goodness, wow, God, this is perfect. You're sending 12 of us from the tabernacle. This chapter is obviously full of amazing topics and wisdom, but the thing that the Lord laid on my heart was verse 20, which is up on the screen. I had a tendency of being nervous talking in front of people. So a lot of times I'll restrict myself from saying what I really am wanting to say, and that can be very dangerous, because that's restricting or causing myself to shut down and say, God, you can't speak through me. So why would I let myself do that? So he said, this is dangerous, because the Lord states that when we are walking in his ways, when we are following where he wants us to go, he will send us out to do something what we do not need to fear. If we allow him to, it is the Spirit of the Father who is speaking through us. And if we allow ourselves to open ourselves up to that, he can do great things. So I just want to encourage each one of you, and I said this in the text message, but I'm saying it to each of you too if you're anything like me. Open your heart to what the Lord has to say, and allow his glory to be spoken through you and to us, and maybe even to yourself. I love each of you so much, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you better. Shalom to each of you, and have a blessed day. So, that was kind of the second thing that I actually ended up texting to the group too, was about vulnerability and being able to be vulnerable with each and every one of you. So I'm going to hope that this works. Okay, so before the trip even began, there's Jocelyn and Cameron and everybody making pancakes and everything, and we were able to load the suitcases all into the back of my parents' truck. So those suitcases right there, that is all full of dental equipment. And so that was a feat, getting all of that into there. So we had Upward Smiles, who donated and let us borrow a bunch of equipment from them, as well as Henry Smiles actually donated over $2,000 worth of stuff for us to be able to use during the trip as well. So yeah, that was amazing and a godsend, because it just happened just very shortly before the trip even began, or before we left. So it was a blessing. So I want to show this video, and don't play it just yet, but this video shows that Satan really likes to try to mess up God's plans. He really likes to try to say, hey, and put fear in us, and to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't really trust this God that you're thinking you should trust. Maybe I can put something in front of you and it will cause enough fear that you won't proceed with God's plan. But I'm going to tell you right now, God is mightier than Satan, and he has already won. He has already won the battle, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you this. Go ahead and play the video. It's going to be loud. Oh, maybe not. So this was my parents and I. We were on our way back to St. Louis, because my parents still were working up to the day before we left. And this was the weather, and that had just started. And so by the next day, we had snow that was over 2 feet. And we were 4 hours away from Springfield where we were going to be leaving. So, but it didn't matter. God said, I'm going to make a way. The roads are going to be clear. The government was able to clear our roads and get it all ready and keep us safe and be able to get on our plane. So that was awesome. This is all of us before the trip, and we are all happy and bushy-tailed and ready to go, and little did we know, I don't have the picture, and I wish I had it. I'm sure someone else the other day showed it, but when we came back, we did a picture together, and the trip was absolutely amazing, but it does put you're taking in so much at one time. And so we're all very bushy-tailed right here, and then when we come back, we still have these humongous smiles on, but you can tell that we were tired. So, and it's a long traveling. It's a whole day. It's like 24 hours or more. Chrissy, there we go. So during the travel, I wanted to show this picture. This is hilarious. So down here on the left, that's my mom and Miss Deborah, and they decided that they wanted to try to race us through at the airport. And so they got on those little treadmill-like things, and it would race them past all of us, and they just had the biggest smiles and grins on their face laughing down this treadmill. It was hilarious. But yeah, so this is just us. We're starting to be able to, we were a group of people. I've spent a lot of time with Miss Deborah on the dance team, and Amanda has actually invited me to her house many times, but this was the beginning of us being able to get to really know each other, to be able to fellowship with each other, and have a moment where we got to, be on the same mission, the plan, and get ready to follow God's plan where He had us to go, and that was an amazing experience. Oh, I'm going to show you this. If you guys are ever traveling, take pictures of your airports because they are big, especially when you're flying international. And so I took a picture to make sure I knew where I was going. And so that's just a little bit to tell you guys who I am. I like to plan ahead and know what I'm going to do. And that's the other thing. Sometimes God says, nope, that you thought that was the plan, but I'm going to change it up on you because my plan's better. So this was your top left. This is the view from our room. Across from there is the park that had all the animals and everything. It's a free range, so it's just miles, and it's humongous, miles and miles of land where all the animals were able to be. And then we have down here on the bottom left, that is my mom meeting Dr. John, who was our pharmacist during the trip. He actually would be on the outside, and so the doctors would prescribe medications, and then he was able to distribute them. That way we were making sure that all of our patients were getting the correct dosage and amount and instruction on how to make sure that they were taking it correctly. And then our top right is Mama Kay. She is an amazing woman. I wish Kay and them were here because I just want to boast about her for a minute because she is just amazing. I had actually taken a candid picture of her, and she's like, let me see it. And so I showed it to her, and she goes, oh no, So she's like, take a better one. So I decided to go with the one that she liked. So this is Mama Kay. And then this is all of us meeting Peter, who would be our tour guide. He's at the bottom right here. And he's been moved up in the church to where now when people go to visit, he'll be the one to kind of coordinate all of us and be able to help everybody get where they need to go. This is the outside, so you can go ahead and play this video on your left. This is the outside of the church. This is the outside of the church here. It is absolutely gorgeous. There's fruit trees. It may not play. That's okay. There's fruit trees and everything on the outside, and then it's a panorama, so it goes this way, and then over here for you guys, you have this other building which they use for different Feast of Tabernacles and all the different festivals and stuff, so they'll separate them, and women and males will sleep in different sleeping areas. And the one on the right was Mama Kay's, which was my favorite because it was pink, and I love the color pink. And this is, I don't know if the video will play, but this was our first day, and this was at church that day. And so we did not know going in how long that day was going to be. And it was like a 12-hour day. It was 12 hours of it's just everyone. It's culturally acceptable and expected almost of them to just have that entire day where they are praising God and letting him dive into their hearts and letting that shine through them. And they do that through dance. They do it through Bible verses. And even the children are involved in this. And it's just absolutely incredible and inspirational. Yeah. And it's just totally normal. Like they just will, it almost seemed like they would just randomly get up there. I'm sure that there was some sort of, hey, you're going to be going next, I think. But they all would join in, and it was so different, because I'm a coordination kind of person, so I want to know what's happening next. I was even with Mr. Boardman, I was like, when do I go? And what time should I start standing up? I need to know these things. But, they just let the Lord flow through them, and it really showed in their worship. It really showed that they just took a minute, took a day to just let God, forget all the other worries and let God flow through them. And it was, so this is the meal that they prepared for us on Shabbat. And they actually do all of this the day before. They don't do any cooking or anything, any preparing on Shabbat. So they had all of this ready for us that day. And this was Peter with our little Simba. And this girl here on the top, or on the bottom left so like at the top of that picture there, she is actually in school to be a teacher. And her name is Mercy, and Grace, I'm sorry. She was the very first person to come and sit next to me. And so she comes up and she's like, yeah, my mom made me come over here. And I was like, she goes, I'm not really good with people. And I sat there and I was like, that's really good, because I get really nervous too. And so we were immediately able to connect. And by the end of it, she's like my best friend. I still talk to her. She's just an incredible person. She's going to make an amazing teacher. And I'm so excited for her. Okay, can we play this one too? This is funny. So Amanda is trying very, very hard to teach all of us how to do this dance. Okay. And it is, I want you guys to watch Keaton. I wish Keaton was here. I'm sorry, I'm putting him on blast, but it is just amazing. I just want to show it because it showed how much fun we had. Like the days were really, really long, and but we were, the people made it fun, and the people made it so much fun, and we were able to grow together as a team and as a people. I know, I had to show you guys. It was a thing. All right. For Keaton. I'm sorry, Keaton. So then on Sunday, before we got ready for the week, I'm kind of leading up to the dental camp, but before we did that, we were able to go, and Pastor Karanja actually took us for a surprise visit over to the giraffe place. And this was a lot of fun. I don't have the pictures. I don't know where they are. Somebody probably hid them. But my mom puts a little piece of food from the giraffe thing, because you can feed them. She put it in her mouth, and the giraffe just ate it from her mouth. Probably making Uncle Lenny pretty nervous. All right. I'm just really bad at this. Okay, so I want to show these pictures because this is just something that's different and something that I kind of just wanted I want to be careful how I word this. It's different there. A lot of the pictures I've shown, it just kind of seems like we're just having fun and nothing's really that different. And, it's what makes it different? What makes their culture different from ours? And one, I would say the love. I'd say the love, the way that they treat visitors was completely different. It just was completely accepting. They wanted us to be engaged. They wanted us to engage with them, but they also wanted to engage with us, and it was just incredible. But these are just some of the differences that we just took in and we accepted, and it was interesting with skirts on. But and then this is some of the buildings. This is the scaffolding that they would use to help and to repair the buildings. So they would climb up these and to repair parts of the buildings or to even just build them. And then these were the streets that we were on. There was a lot of there were places where they had tents and stuff, but then a lot of times they would just have people going and selling their produces and different pieces of clothing and such on the streets. And here is so the picture in the middle, the other difference there is how much gifts, they just love giving gifts. And so we have so many gifts, even from the orphanage that we went to visit. We had so many gifts from them. It was amazing. So I was really glad. Thank you, Tabernacle family, for supplying gifts for us to give back to them too. So we really appreciated that. And this was just some of the food that that they blessed us with. So whenever you have a bunch of people coming over, I don't know about you guys, but our family, we just cook a lot of one thing. But for them, they get so excited, and it's every day they do this because they want guests, they're expecting guests, and so they will make like 10 different dishes. And so it was amazing because they allowed us to try many different foods that they had at one sitting. And that's just all of us, and we were able to have the menorah. Here's Jason and Peter.
Very good.
Pastor Magoya. All right, so we're finally up to the dental camp. I'm trying to make this fast, I'm so sorry. But so the pictures here are all the equipment and the stuff that was donated to us. And this is, in the middle, we have Dr. Jane, her and my mom, Dr. Blunt over there, they spearheaded the dental portion of this and were able to get 4 dentists all together, 3 of them which lived there, and also the pharmacist, or the pharmacologist there. And they were all able to work together to create this dental camp. And we had 2 separate rooms that we were able to do this in. And so I wish the video earlier had played, but what it was is this building across from where the church was, and it was actually where the pastors, that was their pastors' rooms. And so you'd have the building here, or the whole building here, and you had one room here and one room here. And in the middle is where we would have people come out, and my dad and Izzy and Cameron would go, and they would talk about, they would go through the different information that they might have to be able to help with the brushing their teeth, flossing, all the different things like that. And then in the other 2 rooms, we had 2 of the dentists set up in one room, and 1 dentist, my mom, was in the other room, and they were able to work with that. And that's actually, that's our bus driver, Julius, on the far right. He even wanted to help put we made hundreds and hundreds of little baggies of little gifts for them that had toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, all of this in it. And they were so excited to have it. They would come up to us early and ask, can we just have one now? Or if we just went ahead and let them have it, because, you can't say no. But this is our setup. So this was my mom's room here on the left, and this was all the dental equipment that we were going to be using. And so the doctors would, so I kind of was like the errand girl, and so I would go from room to room and sterilize the equipment and get whatever they needed for extractions. And these are all the dentists here. So we have Dr. Jane and my mom, and you'll have to forgive me, but I have forgotten the names of the other 2 dentists. They were amazing. The one here, the real smiley one, he was an absolute character. Very, very, very good with the patients. And the other one was very quiet, but just a very kind and sweet heart. And then this is I call this our dental team because, and we're missing Cameron in this picture, but I call this our dental team because this is the preachers, this is the dentist, this is the pharmacist, this is all the little assistants and everything, and all together, that's what created the dental camp, and prayers and the encouragement from everyone. Honestly, the prayers was the biggest thing because we actually saw, and I'll show you in the last slide, but we saw 327 patients in 5 days, and we did not have a single complication, which is amazing. And that is because of God. That is because of your prayers, their prayers, God leading and God healing. So we are so thankful for that. All right, I'm going to play this. Actually, this is a long video, so I'm going to actually skip it. If you want to see it, you can see it later. I'm sorry. Do I see it? Okay. All right. Can you go back? Yeah. Okay. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So you can see it later. I'll show it to you later. So then here's the different dental equipment. This is Abraham here on your far right, and he is a dental student from Uganda, and he was able to shadow my mom that day. And this is my mom working on Peter, who is our tour guide, or our guide for the trip, our missions guide. And then this girl here in the middle is actually Kay's sister, Roche. And she is amazing. This lady is amazing. So the day before, and I asked for her permission to tell you this, but the day before, we extracted 4 wisdom teeth on her. And she spent over an hour dancing and singing the very next day. And you could tell, like, at the very beginning of that day, she was just in so much pain. But by the end of the day, the joy of the Lord it went through her. And I asked her, how you feel? And she goes, I'm feeling great. I am feeling like the joy is here, and my mouth isn't even hurting. So I was like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. So this is our church group, or the missions group, and all of the kids that were there, or the young adults that were there that week. And this was from there's a seat. This is from the orphanage, and then this is, I just thought that was cute. I'm sorry, Izzy, I just wanted to add that of you. You're so cute. But we were able to see over 25, so on top of 327, we were able to see over 20 additional patients at the orphanage as well. This is the wedding that we crashed. They loved it. They loved that I don't know why, but they loved that we crashed their wedding. They were so excited. They even had to present us, like, these people are here. The Americans are here. So this is what you guys helped us to do. I want to kind of end with this. You guys helped us to connect with this amazing family. This is Pastor Karanja and his family. You guys and you helped us to be able to create relationships with people that are across the world from us. You helped us to be able to treat over 327 patients. And before the trip, there was some vulnerability about it. I actually had a lot of anxiety about it. There was a lot of things between family members that was causing some stress. And this picture here just basically explains how I felt on my way back home. Like, there's just so much peace, so much serenity about the whole thing. There was a lot of pressing that the Lord did, and I think in each and every one of us, there was a lot of pressing. It wasn't easy. I think people look at it and they're like, oh, it looks so beautiful, it looks so easy, but the days were long and they were hard. But the Lord puts this joy and this serenity and this peace even whenever those moments are there. And hopefully, the last slide. Oh. All right, so through the leading of God, you all helped us to serve the dental needs of over 300 people in 5 days. And so I just want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you guys, and I love you guys dearly.
We have our Dr. B. That's what she came to be known as over there in Kenya. And so here she comes, and then her husband Steve will follow her.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have pictures. You do? Okay. And I've got this written because I am not a public speaker. It scares the living daylights out of me. But I just wanted to say Shabbat Shalom to everyone. And this was one of the most amazing experiences that I have ever had in my life. Katrina, of course, is my daughter, and my son Steven's here. Rochelle is my sister. But I want to say thank you to God for making all of this possible, because without Him, it wouldn't have happened. So I feel honored and blessed to have the opportunity to share with y'all the experience that we were able to share in Kenya. God blessed the trip from the very beginning. As Steve mentioned, or as he will mention, there were many miracles. I thought he was going to talk before me. But so I just want to give him the glory and thanks for getting us there and back. Then I want to thank all of you for supporting and contributing to make this possible, whether it was money or prayers. It was all needed. And I'd also like to give a big thanks to, it's actually Henry Shine, not Henry Smiles. Henry Shine and Upward Smiles for all that they contributed and for everything that they allowed us to borrow. And Upward Smiles and Walmart make it possible by giving Steve and I the time off to go there. When Katrina told me about the trip initially at the beginning of last year, I immediately committed to it and made arrangements with work so that I could go. And I made arrangements before I ever got back here to let Deborah know that I was interested in going. And when she found out that I was a dentist, she's like, okay, well, let's do dental camp too. I'm like, okay. When Rochelle and I were very young, Dad went on a mission trip, and he took us with him. And we were so young, we just played. But I always wanted to do something like this. It's been a burning desire. And when the opportunity showed, I jumped. I was put in contact with Dr. Jane, and we made arrangements for the stuff that I needed to bring there and the stuff that she could provide. Everything went smooth with that. Henry Shine, I contacted them, and usually they require at least 3 months to be able to organize the supplies to donate, and this was done in less than 3 weeks. That God made this happen. So, and then I thought it was going to be just myself and maybe Jane working, Dr. Jane, but a few weeks before we left, she told me that she had recruited the other 2 dentists. So that gave us a real boost in how many people we could take care of. Katrina was a real good assistant, sterilization coordinator, and instrument coordinator. Izzy assisted me a lot, and she did very good. I was really impressed. She just got in there and did whatever I needed her to do to help out. Dr. Abraham is a 4th-year dental student. They go to school for 5 years instead of 4. But it was a real blessing to have him there because one of his friends, he is in Uganda in dental school, and one of his friends had invited him to the youth camp. And he said he probably wasn't going to come, but then when he found out that there was a dentist from America coming, he's like, oh, I want to go and see how she does things. And so it was wonderful having him there, and it was wonderful having him to be witness to whenever he wasn't helping in the dental clinic. But he was someone that was constantly shadowing me that I could talk to, and we understood the language of dentistry. But the people were so grateful for any help with dentistry. And I worked for going on 13 years with Medicaid children. So I kind of based what I was going to see there on the patients that I see here. And I see a lot of bad teeth. But their teeth and mouths were just simply amazing. They take so good of care of everything with the small amount that they have. And I asked them, why? And they told me that it's because they don't have access to a dentist. And so they need to keep their teeth clean and healthy, because if they get a toothache, there's nothing they can do. They have to live with the pain. And I just couldn't imagine that. But I did a lot less extractions than I thought I was going to, just because they take care of their oral hygiene. And it was real hard leaving. The connections that we had made, the people, they are so wonderful. And they made us promise that we would be back in 2 years. So that's the goal. I'd like to go back in 2 years, but this time I'd like to do more than just extractions. I'd like to be able to do fillings and cleanings. And so that's why I asked them, I'm like, give us 2 years so we can fundraise and get all that stuff together so we can offer you more than what we were able to this time. This was a first for all of us, the dentists that were there and myself. None of us had ever organized a camp, and for it to have gone as good as it did, no complications, was amazing. So, and as Katrina said about hospitality, we were truly taught the meaning of hospitality. They treated us like we were royalty. It was amazing. We went there to bless them and to show them God's love, and they did that for us. It was an amazing blessing. About the only thing that I really missed from home in terms of comforts was hot water. I do not like cold water. And every night I took a cold bath. So that was very humbling. It was like, man, I don't see how people do this. I won't even get in a swimming pool unless it's warm, much less a bathtub. But, you got to do what you got to do. So I just want to say again, thank you, God, and thank you, everyone here, for allowing this to happen. And 2 years from now, hopefully, it'll happen again.
All right, now we have Steve, her husband, and a great support for the whole team. And do keep in mind, I'm going to really talk to Rabbi and Brenda about, still keeping a Kenya jar out so that we can still raise some money. There's things that we want to do for some of the people over there, and start saving for the next trip as well.
Amen. Absolutely. 2 years. That's not very long. Well, I have to say that Katrina did a really, really good job, so I'm probably not going to be as long as either one of them. So I wrote something out. I'm going to go ahead and just go by my notes. Shalom Shabbat. Shukrani kiwa Bwana Mungu wetu kwa fursa ya kuwa hapa na kutumia dakika chache zifuatazo kutoa taarifa juu ya safari yetu ya Kenya. What does that mean? Anybody understand that? Shabbat Shalom. thanks to the Lord our God for the opportunity to be here and spend the next few minutes reporting on our mission trip to Kenya. By a show of hands, how many have seen or experienced an unexplainable miracle? Just a show of quick hands. Amen. So for those that do not know me, my name is Steve Martin, and no, I'm not the famous one. About a year ago, I was hearing the word Africa around the house, between my wife and my daughter Katrina there. It was not until August, though, that I actually committed to going on this mission trip. Those in my family that know me, I have a lot of fear, especially with my son driving. However, it's not a regret in any way, shape, or form. This was truly a miracle in my life. As I committed to go, there were so many roadblocks and obstacles along the way. Number one, of course, was finances. I work at Walmart. Walmart just does not give people 2 weeks off to go do something they want to go do. They're very strict about their policies. However, God provided a way, as he does. And one of the greatest things about this trip for me was trusting God. So our journey / safari began in Springfield on the 18th. The team, or the Mission 12, as I called us, were greeted by Kay and Mercy at the airport. Mercy brought little cakes for us to snack on. Little did I know that this gesture would be the first of many gestures of kindness for the whole trip. Our plane took us to Chicago, where we boarded an actual 747 to Frankfurt, Germany. From Frankfurt, we flew to Nairobi. Altogether, it was about 24 hours of flight time. Has anybody here traveled that long to get to a destination? Okay. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. Upon our arrival, the team had to go through customs with all the dental supplies that you all seen on the pictures there. Again, fear for Steve here is pretty high, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get caught with all this dental equipment, medications coming into this country. You know, they got a pretty strict policy about, well, there were no narcotics or anything. However, they don't want people reselling in their country. They want things to be bought there. But we passed through customs with barely even 1 or 2 questions, maybe. With all, was it 12 suitcases in total? It was a lot. This was a miracle. So after clearing customs, we were met by Pastor and Mrs. Karanja and members of the congregation by a welcome song and a prayer and gifts. This was one of the most memorable moments of the trip for me. From the airport, we were shuttled by a bus who was driven by a man named Julius, and Peter, our host, was there for the whole trip. We were taken to our apartment near the Nairobi National Park, as you saw in the picture. We felt very secure and safe at this location and everywhere we went, including going through Muslim areas of Nairobi. There's a very high Muslim population there. And as you know, Mombasa is not very far away, where they're having lots of trouble. On preparation day, the team was treated to lunch at a very nice buffet restaurant. One thing I noticed was that President Obama may have been there, but his pilots sure were there, because there was a picture of Air Force One signed by the pilots. It was that nice of a place. From there, we went to the church compound. Traffic is a little crazy there. I wish I had shown some pictures of that. And there are no traffic lights at all. No traffic lights. If you think about these roundabouts here in Branson that they just came up with, multiply that by 100 of the craziness that goes on there. Again, Steve's fear factor. Pastor Karanja was very proud that the church owned the property and had a title deed as we walked the grounds, including the new addition to their church, which I believe, Deborah, you had gone there years before that was built. Wasn't it amazing? At certain times of the year, they have a celebration where there's over 2,000 people there, and in that church grounds. After we were taken to a mall to eat and shop for groceries before heading back to the apartment. On Sabbath, we attended service. Mind you, services are a bit long and lasted well into the evening, as Katrina told you. Sunday, we went to the Giraffe Park. From the park, we went to church and set up the dental clinic, and it took everyone. It was a really great team that was assembled by Deborah. She deserves a lot of credit for this trip, believe me. And just the local church people that helped us out along the way. So Monday through Thursday was the actual dental clinic there. And so I focused on patient education along with Izzy and Cameron. And Deborah helped out also. Our days would typically be from 5 a.m. Till sometimes 11 o'clock at night. And we would open each day with a devotion from each one of us and have prayer before we opened the clinic. So the first day was great. I believe there was about 50 patients that day, roughly, maybe a little less. But in the end, I think we totaled almost 350, including the orphanage. So, as you know, there was 4 doctors, Katrina, who's soon to be a doctor, and Abraham, who is 1 year into dental school there. I was known as Dr. Google. When I began this, I spoke in Swahili, and I got that from Google Translate, which is an incredible tool if you're traveling internationally. We were blessed by 2 families who invited us into their house for dinner. For the life of me, I can't remember the names of the people, other than Lucy from I Love Lucy. And they were just incredibly gracious. And the meals were, as Katrina said, excellent, 10-course dinners. There was really a plethora of food. Okay, so December 28th was our last Sabbath service. We were blessed by the young adults there who performed dance, music, and skits. I was amazed by their memorization. They included Bible text, the plays itself, the professionalism in the dance, and it took months to prepare for that, I was told. And so that evening, I don't think we have oh yeah, there you go. We had to say goodbye to so many of our new friends there, including Dr. Jane and her family. So December 29th, we traveled to the Children's Orphanage. We were greeted by 23 orphans. 23 is the number that they are allowed to have there at any given time. And the children arrived there via the government usually, or the police, local police, that either the parents have died, they've abandoned these children, or they just cannot take care of them. And Mama, who was there, and her staff met us with the song and a dance upon our arrival. It was just amazing, another memorable moment. The team split off again and did arts and crafts, music, sports, and a mini dental camp. Gift exchange. The whole trip we were receiving gifts from the second we got off the airplane, it seemed like. And I just felt so bad, like how do you ever repay this gratitude generosity that they gave to us? So with the orphanage, Gabrielle put so much of this heart and soul into that, and it turned out really successful. So as Katrina showed a wedding, and if anybody's ever seen the movie like Wedding Crashers or something like that, that was us. So we had a dinner meeting in the capital of Nairobi there, and the architecture of this restaurant and hotel was like that of the 50s. It was really elegant. I had a picture. I don't know, I guess I must not have included it, but it had a spiral staircase at one point where the steps were, and it was really amazing. And so we met with the Pastor Karanja and the people who put the whole hosting together. On our last day, we were able to go to an elephant orphanage, and for those who've heard a little bit about it, it's a place where baby elephants are brought there and raised because their mothers have either been killed by drought or floods. And then we did get to go to a Maasai gift shop, and we kind of overspent there, but that's due in part to me. Sorry, hon. And then we had a final meal with the Karanjas and some of the other staff. We didn't have the bus. I don't know if they talked about this in the previous presentations. So members of the church would use their cars to shuttle us around, and a few were there, but anything that was needed, they provided. It was just amazing how mechanical they were too. So we did go to the airport, and they had so many people there, bussed in our suitcases, and it was just amazing. So how was I blessed on this trip? For those that know me and the family there, my trust in God kind of wavered before this whole trip. I was looking at many aspects of religion and not religion. So my belief and trust in God was getting to a low point. And what this mission trip did was to bring me back to kneeling before God and allowing my faith to grow 100-fold. I learned that our planet is shared by many cultures with the same beliefs, This congregation and their congregation, there's not much that separates us. God works everywhere. As Rabbi can attest to, being a rabbi, a pastor of a church, is never ending. Pastor Karanja could be woken up at any time of the day or night, and he's there. It's amazing the dedication this man has, and I believe he's 76, 77, somewhere up there. And his wife, Mama Karanja, is just incredible, the devotion, and he was known as the overseer. That's one thing that stood out in me, and the respect from his congregation that he got. I hear it ringing. Do I need to put this closer? So I asked in the beginning how many people experienced miracles, and all I could say is that God definitely showed me miracles. And the miracles that we've seen during the whole trip, obstacles, what impressed me is obstacles are not part of God. We met so many new friends and had many memories that I will soon never forget. I would like to thank each and every one of you, finally, of this congregation and for the many prayers and support that made this mission trip for the Mission 12 a success. May God bless each and every one of you. And I just want to leave you with Matthew 9:32 through 38. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest time is plentiful, or is truly plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into the harvest." Amen. Asante Sana.
All right, we're going to probably just take about 5 more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. But we have Cameron and Isabella.
Hey, my name's Isabella, and I helped out with the dentist camp. I did sterilization and helped out at the front desk, and helped give out the goodie bags that they had for everybody that came to see the dentist. And we had a lot of blessings on this trip, and that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cameron. Yeah. So just to start off, like that was my first time ever like going out of the country and just being on a plane like at all. So it was a very interesting start to the trip and everything like that. It was an amazing experience, very mind-blowing. Honestly, it feels kind of like a fever dream now. I kind of forget like if it actually happened, but there's pictures, so I guess it did. But overall, like it was just amazing, and it was a lot of like culture shock and everything like that. But helping out with the dental camp and the youth camp was just so much fun, and I learned a lot, and it was just a really great experience. So thank you all for like helping that happen. But yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so one of the things was that sometimes we had to demonstrate what to do. And so mainly Cameron but Isabella did it as well. And so they're speaking in Swahili. Steve is doing it in Swahili. And then when it gets to the part about brushing your teeth, and then it's important to brush your tongue. And then it's really important to floss twice a day. So anyway, so that's what they were doing, and it was really appreciated. Thank you. I'm just going to wrap it up with this. We still have connections in Kenya, and we're still working on things in Kenya. And we did the orphanage here, and of course we gave gifts and all of that, and they sent us on the 30th of January. It says, "Well, it is so honorable to know y'all," and they said y'all think about us, because we do think about them so much. Our words cannot express enough gratitude for all that you did. Please let everyone know we are highly appreciated, their overwhelming support, and that's to you as well. It's going to push us far and wide, and we will receive it, and they received the gifts, and we did send them a little bit more in regards to help with one of the young men to go to school. And so we thank all whom participated in supporting. And so they want to send great gratefulness to each and every one of us here at the congregation. And then we had a pastor who, and Kathleen Doggendorf put us in connection with each other, and she goes by Katie Abrams on the Facebook, in case anybody doesn't know. But she connected us with him. He's in Uganda. It's not Uganda, it's Uganda. And so he came on a bus for 14 hours to meet us. And he got there on an end of Shabbat, and we had already left. And on Sunday, we had already had plans. So he stayed at the congregation grounds with Pastor Moniki, who's also from Uganda. And then we met with him the very next day. And so it was awesome. There's awesome pictures, but we don't have time to show them, where Pastor Karanja and Jason and all of them, Nancy and Amanda, just surrounded him. It was just an infused 2 hours. I mean, it was so full. So he sent back, and he has a congregation of 8 in Uganda, because they're just now starting to do the Hebraic roots. And so that's why he came to meet us. And so he says, we are blessed to read your and study your daily materials. And Kathleen sends him stuff as well. And we are excited to let you know. Now, this is 2 weeks or 3 weeks after we came back. We are excited to let you know that we now have 3 new believers. And so, and so they went from a congregation of 8 to 11, and so that's pretty good ratio, I do believe. And so then also somebody on Facebook commented on how much, and so they said, you really helped the people here. I believe a lot of blessings will follow you. And then to Dr. B particularly, he says, so nice, so lovely. May she be blessed so much, and you all who supported the dream receive my vote of thanks. So once again, you guys are part of that as well. And went on to say, your team left legacy here for your help. I hear many in the church giving thanks for your work. So once again, it goes on and on and on. And so we also, and just sorry, I'm going to mention this, but we had about 160 pairs of underwear that we sent over, and Mercy's sister-in-law took the underwear to 2 girls' schools, and one of them in particular is for handicap. And her blessing towards us is this. And the name of the school was Joytown Special Needs, and so she says, we are grateful for everyone. We are grateful for whatever. They didn't know what we brought, but they were glad that they were grateful. And they don't know what they brought us, but may God bless you abundantly. And this is the blessing that I really want to give to, because this is what she says. And she says, and may God be on your side every day. And this is a little girl who is in a wheelchair with no legs. And so it was really awesome. We still have a well project we're working on, and once again, we still have work to do in Kenya. And I just ask if you will join us, and may you catch the fire that we have. Thank you so much.
If you could all please stand. We're running a little bit behind, so we're not going to have the invitational song, but if anybody needs prayer after service, come down and see me, or somebody will pray with you. But Yivarekek Adonai Vayishmareka Yair Adonai Panavelecha Vikuneka Isa Adonai Panavelecha Viasemlecha Shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Perfect peace, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, the Sar Shalom, the Prince of Peace. Amen. And altogether, that thy way may be known upon the earth, and thy salvation among all nations. Amen. And that goes right in with the message of today. Spreading the word around to all nations. All right, before we go downstairs, and we certainly, again, we want to remind all of our visitors, you're welcome to come down for food and fellowship. We have food after every service. But before we go down for food, if we could get the blessing before the meal. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehekol ni'eh bidvaro. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word all things have come to be, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. We are dismissed. Let's go downstairs and have some food. Amen.